Magnus is our next presenter. He is essentially an associate at byFounders, a fund I appreciate and like, and they've backed at least a little less than a handful of starting companies. And one might ask about that. byFounders is a really delightful fund. I think they even coined the term New Nordics that all these funds keep throwing around. Please, warm hand of applause for Magnus. Let's do this. Woo! Looking forward to this, man. Good to see you. Let's do it.
Works. There, big one. I'm Magnus from byFounders, and we're our New Nordic pre-seed and seed stage fund. So we have two funds. The first one was 100 million euros, and the second one was 110 million euros. We're about halfway through the second one, so we've got plenty of dry powder left. We invest in what we call the New Nordics, so Nordics plus Baltics, or companies that are from this region. So either they're based here, or they're from here, operating somewhere else, or this is one of their main markets. We're industry agnostic. We do have a slight preference towards software, because software tends to scale a little bit better, but we've done plenty of hardware investments as well. We write checks somewhere between a few €100,000 to a few million euros. I want you to remember three things from us: founder compassion, global community, and impact awareness. And I'll go through each of these in turn. So first of all, we think that founder compassion really starts at everyone on the team having worked or founded startups. So we've all been in the trenches, and we know what it's like. Secondly, we think that the term sheet that you give startups is very important to define the relationship you have to go forwards. We've made ours open source. It's fully on our website, exactly the one that we issue. And we've spent a lot of time to make it founder-friendly and easy to understand. We've taken the clauses that we've found in European term sheets all around and combined them to be the most founder-friendly. And it's actually even so short that it fits on the back of my T-shirt. So you can see it here. You can come and talk to me afterwards if you want to read the full thing. We don't have any downside protection in terms of anti-dilution rights or liquidation preferences, and we invest in common shares instead of preferred shares. So we want to be optimizing to be in the same boat as the founders for the long term. Secondly, we draw from a global community that we call the collective. So this is 50 founders and early operators of some of the biggest companies from this region, that you can see some logos up here to the left. Most of these are invested in our fund, but without any fees or carry. So they're basically like an extended part of our team. They can sit on the boards on our behalf. They do so in about a third of our startups. They can sit on advisory boards. They do one-off workshops with the startups that we invest in. And it gives us the kind of extra expertise that we might not have only inside the investment team. So this is the way to scale very direct expertise. And lastly, we are what we call impact aware. So the most recent fund that we've raised, and we're investing from right now, we have a target of 50% impact startups. So not only impact startups, but we do care about impact. And we invest in the impact side. We think mainly about the impact areas of climate, health, and education. So if you're building something that's going to be huge and potentially can make the world a better place, then come and talk to me.
Woo! I love it when people are on time. I like it, even a little earlier.
Thank you.
Very, very impressive.
Very impressive. Let's do this.
Although he did speak very fast.
He did. He was very fast.
Yes.
But for sure, the first time I've ever seen a VC actually wear a term sheet. So that's impressive.
I mean, the only way you can, just topping it off somehow would be to do it in the back, right?
Just sign it? No.
One-upmanship, as VCs like to do it.
I'll accept it quickly on his back.
Fun fact, I think when you guys closed to at least, I think you had a 50 million fund. You said your largest fund in the Baltics. At some point, there was another fund that came out just a little after, said we are the largest, 51 million.
That's all it takes. It's 1 cent.
Exactly. So tattoo is the next step.
No, but I obviously I had to stalk you a little bit to prepare for this. I am looking at LinkedIn. You've got a nice background, interesting, University of Western Australia.
Exactly, that's right. I'm Swedish, but I spent a lot of time in Australia, yeah.
So how'd you end up here, or when did you?
So, I'm grown up in Sweden, and then I moved to Australia after high school to study. My dad's from New Zealand, so it's very easy to move around. And I came back 4 years ago to join a startup in Stockholm called Natural Cycles, a femtech startup.
Okay, so 4 years ago in Stockholm?
4 years ago, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I was curious because, see, I see from LinkedIn that last year from June to August, you were crushing it. But now are we to understand that you're no longer crushing it?
That's in reference to a very famous Silicon Valley scene that I highly recommend you check out.
I believe this is also the only time I've seen an Easter egg in a LinkedIn profile for a VC. I love it. That is bonus points. Check out this guy's LinkedIn profile. He was crushing it from June 22nd through August 22nd.
I was in between jobs and I was traveling Europe, but I would call that crushing it. It was very good.
All right, here's a relevant, really professional question.
That was relevant?
No, that's fine. That's fine. References are cool, especially coming from somebody with your experience, your maturity, and
Is that an old joke?
No. So anyway, somebody says that you had a little too much info, a little too fast. The person cannot remember anything
Maybe
besides the term sheet.
Jacinda lady.
Wait. It goes on, but wait, there's more. But they like your curly hair.
That's nice.
Right?
Is that natural?
It is natural. Yes, it's not a wig.
He actually deserves it.
And I'm going to rephrase this a little bit. So it seems this person's fond of you and whether you have a partner. You don't have to answer this, but this is just a comment.
I'm single.
Very good, very good. You hear it here, right? It's confidential.
We're happy to help, you know.
We are here for matchmaking, right? All kinds. All right, so with the market downturn, do you regret taking common stock and no anti-dilution protection? How many investments is plenty of dry powder left? Quote.
So I'd say that we have probably about 18 investments left to make. So probably like a year and a half-ish. What was the first question, sorry?
All right, let me quote this quote. What market downturn do you regret? So we have a whole theme of regrets here. Taking common stock and no anti-dilution
Do we regret it? No,
yes.
No, definitely not. I think when things are going poorly and you have a situation where like liquidation preferences might trigger, it's actually in your incentive as an investor to make sure that the founder is incentivized to continue building, right? If the founder is underwater, why should they continue building the company? They can just walk away. So as an investor, I think it makes sense to share the upside with the founder, even if things are going poorly.
Have you ever been tricked into a deal by someone asking you to autograph a T-shirt?
Luckily, we don't have a valuation on it, so in that case, it's undefined, and we can make it very, very low.
That would be a pretty bad process, right?
Yeah.
Understood. Speaking of bad processes, what do you think of FTX?
This is in reference to what we were talking about before. I mean, obviously, terrible story. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to seeing how the trial is going to go. It was terrible how much money he defrauded customers from, and I mean, unethical on every level, for sure.
So you would invest, is what you're saying?
No. Obviously not now. We were talking about this before in terms of like the high risk, high reward upside, a little bit like what the previous speaker was talking about. And I think ultimately the investors in FTX obviously got a lot of flack for having done what they did. And on the same level, you're going to have a certain amount of loss if you're in this business and you're doing high-risk investments. So I think it's very difficult to say at the moment of investment whether they did the wrong thing or not. Obviously, the outcome was very bad, and I obviously don't support SPF in any way.
That was pretty honest, man.
What lesson is to be learned from this? Have VCs gone too founder-friendly, or were they for a while? Because, Adam at WeWorks, all of these other platforms raising money on just bullshit, right?
I mean,
Nikla, all these others.
I mean, I'm not sure if I would call that founder-friendly necessary. I mean, it's more like hype-driven, right? I think that whole cycle was very much driven by extreme hype across anyone that had a bit of experience and could point to previous successes, right? So I'm not sure that... I think the real founder-friendliness is if you're willing to invest in someone who doesn't necessarily have a massive track record and who's trying to do something massive for the first time, right? That's where you're taking the real risks.
All right, let me build on something from your experience. Natural cycles.
Yes.
Top 3 things you learned and 3 things you do differently. Let's start with learns.
So 3 things. Okay. I mean, Natural Cycles is a femtech app, right? So it's all about menstrual tracking and birth control. So I think that all those 3 things that I would have learned, they would have been things related to the cycle that I did not know going into that industry. But there's a huge amount of stuff that, as a man, you don't learn, but even most women also don't know about how the cycle works. I'm not going to give you 3 things specifically.
Understood. That requires a lot of keeping things in your mind, right? I'm being playful here. Listen, you're losing points on track records. I'm going to give you a shot here. Obviously, you have some really good backers, and you have some really good companies. Many of them I know. Could you just tell me, please, are you crushing it?
I think we are. So we're actually an investor in Bob W., who was up here on the stage before this segment started, right? So that's one of our big successes in the region. We've got quite a few others. Like Contract Book was one that raised a huge round from Target Global last year. We got Normative in Stockholm, who's really crushing as well. Monta in Denmark. It's been
Salto-X locally as well. Outfunnel on the same stage.
Also here as well, exactly.
You had actually some of the really good people that I know personally on this stage.
We've had huge amounts of presence here. Yeah.
You must be very proud.
I am. Yeah.
He's crushing it.
He's definitely crushing it. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Magnus.
Thank you.
That's very good. That's very good.